Well, folks, welcome to another edition of Politics and Random. Berto Willis, your host. Thank you so kind of being a part of the show. First of all, I want to open the show saying yesterday we had a great super chat from Bridge MCP, and I didn't get a chance to put it on the screen, so therefore I wanted to get it on the screen, and I did last night. So there we go. Anyhow, welcome all the peeps. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome Eric Hayes. Welcome Squido. Welcome Bridge MCP. Welcome Ken Masastaki. AVQ. That you guys are saying alerta. Estoy aquí. So folks, if you are here, go ahead and make yourself known so that I can give you a shout out. You know, I like to make sure and shout out everybody. I love to acknowledge all the folks that spend their time to say, we will be visiting with you. Love you all. Okay. Michael Rudnin starts. Reuters. Magnitude 6.1 earthquake kills 1,000 in Afghanistan. At least 1,000 in Afghanistan. Death toll expected to rise. A health worker at a hospital in the hard-hit Paktika province said, many people are still buried under the soil. The rescue team of the Islamic Emirate have arrived, and with the help of local people are trying to take out the dead and injured. An unknown number of people remain stuck under the rubble and outlying areas. This is going to be a lot worse. Health and aid workers said, and rescue operations are complicated by difficult conditions, including heavy rains, landslide, and many villages being nestled in inaccessible hillsides. Likewise, NBC News, House GOP leaders to whip against bipartisan gun violence prevention bill. Chris Murphy said the bill also enhances background checks for people 18 to 21 years old, allowing up to 3 days to conduct checks and an extra 10 days if there are signs of concerns. He said it should be tougher penalties to gun trafficking and clarify which sellers must register as federal firearm licensees, which would force them to conduct background checks. And he said that bill would expand money for mental health and school-based health. Nancy Pelosi said communities across the country would benefit from the House Democrats' proposal included in his package, which will help keep deadly weapons out of dangerous hands by encouraging states to establish extreme risk protection order laws. This legislation will also move to close the boyfriend loophole, which marks strong progress to prevent abusers' firearms. Republicans will stand with wife beaters and mass shooters, while against the supermajority popular will of the American public. This I got to see. First of all, I have wanted this bill to fail. And the reason why is this incremental change will do very little for the crazy mass shooters that we currently have at hand. We need much stronger regulations. And what I think this half-ass measure does is it gives Republicans the talking point that they have, in a bipartisan manner, provided some gun control of some sort. They won't call it gun control, but you know they're going to talk it mental health and school safety and all that junk. If I were the Democrats, I'll spin against this. Progressives, I don't think should vote for this. I think this should go down into utter failure. That they can pass a ridiculous bill to give Republicans a win and seem like they're somehow going to negotiate something. Republicans are only doing this because this is what America wants. America wants gun control. But this isn't gun control. This is not gun control. This is just a Band-Aid that gives people a semblance of something actually happening when absolutely nothing of substance is happening. The AR-15s are still out there. The magazines are still out there. We have already examples of what occurs when you take these weapons off of the streets. And for those who say, well, the bad guys are going to have it anyway, well, you know, the guys who've been shooting these places up were per se, quote unquote, the bad guys that we always fear. Those bad guys that people fear are the ones who have inter-gang bashing. So again, I think this is a win for Republicans. I think this is a big loss for America. A win for Republicans, a loss for America. And if America loses, real Democrats lose. New York Times from Mike Rudnin. Biden will push Congress for 3-month federal gas tax holiday. Experts remain skeptical that suspending the federal tax would benefit consumers. We're going to be talking about that today. During a speech on Wednesday afternoon, Mr. Biden will ask Congress to lift the federal taxes about 18 cents per gallon of gasoline and 24 cents per gallon of diesel through the end of September, just before the fall midterm elections, according to senior officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss this announcement. The president also asked states to suspend their own gas taxes, hoping to alleviate economic pain. Yeah, this temporary tax cut will save the average consumer around $10 a month. Not exactly a game changer, but it's a game changer for infrastructure. The best solution is still a windfall profit tax, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. ABQ says, watching from Twitch. Bridge MCP says, Biden speaks about rising gas prices, 13 million gallons a day, 14 cents. FedEx goes away temporarily. Bridge also says, how many Trump insiders pleaded the fifth in the January 6th probe? Not the 5 people thought, 30 people. The mob takes the Fifth Amendment. The then candidate said at the time, deriding those who assert their right against self-incrimination. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? From the transcript, it's been an honor to spend time with you and with our previous witnesses here today. To date, more than 30 witnesses called before the committee have not done what you've done, but have invoked their Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Welcome aboard, Squido. Welcome aboard, Eric Hay says, fighting back, but in a nice way and wanting to work together. So I think if the administration wants to remain divisive for no reason, that for sure will fail the public. So I keep being radical and not listening, and what happens? Eric, I think if you ask who's listening, most Americans want AR-15s off the streets. Most Americans want full-fledged background checks. Most Americans want to get these magazines off the floor. Who are the ones that are not listening to America? Again, when you make statements, make sure you're accurate. Sharon Hammer, hola, ¿cómo estás, Sharon? Bridge MCP says, Eric Biden is meeting with them all, Tom. See my YouTube link? All right. Let's see what else we got here. Eric Hayes says, in 2021, Chevron produced the highest volume of oil and gas in our 143-year history. In the first quarter of 2022, our U.S. production was 1.2 barrels per day, up 109 barrels per day from the same quarter a year earlier in the Permian Basin alone. We expect production to approach 750 in an increase of more than 15% in 2021, and Chevron U.S. refinery grew to 915 barrels per day in average. I don't know what you're trying to say. Chevron is also investing in greenhouse gas emissions. I want them to do it now. Okay. America will lead in the critical new industries, creating jobs at home and exporting to the world. You can talk and talk and talk, but if you don't talk your walk, what does it matter? Nationalize the oil companies to nationalize the oil companies now is the only solution to prevent the oil companies from taking the wealth away from middle class and poor America. Right now, they have pricing power that, irrespective of shortages, they are destroying the middle class. And until we act to nationalize them or cramp them down, it'll continue. Lee Grant, welcome aboard. British MCP says, weird, Eric Biden just said they are not refining oil. Alistair Waters says, hi all. Michael Ronan says, can someone copy paste to Eric? Oil corporations will increase production by about 10%. It's not enough in the short term to lower the rise of gas prices at all. But here, let me ask you this, Rudnin, because I think this is important. Has anybody here thus far had any problems whatsoever getting gas at any price? I don't think so. And gasoline has only dropped the supply. I mean, we've only stopped buying about 2%. That tells us that it's a fraud, a complete fraud. So no excuses. Egberto, where is the action on the trained people taking action too? The political infighting is going to continue until you take away divisiveness, and there is no way to win if people have to die. True. Squeedo says there is no valor for Republicans. Agreed. Eric Hayes, gimmick is no solution. Band-aid. Exactly. I agree with that, Eric. And I think getting rid of the gas tax is a gimmick that hurts in the long run. Mitos says inflation. Mitos also says the currency circle stage a battle royale. Bitcoin fell below 18,000. What happened? How does this affect U.S. stocks? Welcome to the group discussion. I see that you want people to visit your WhatsApp. That's fine. All right, from Rudnan says, from the second half of my last comment that didn't get read out, shame on the New York Times for this falsehood in the article for their failure to note that oil corporations' price gouging is a primary cause of high gasoline prices. This year, oil and refined fuel rose to their highest level in 14 years because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the sanction imposed by President Vladimir Putin, and a rebound in energy use as the United States recovers from the pandemic. Continuing Revelations, this is from E2247. Revelations, Congress not only reveal the threat that 45 pose to the U.S. rule of law, but also underline danger of inaction. True. Eric Hayes, Egberto, the division is about energy, not guns, but that is in it too. Energy? There's no division on energy. We want lower gasoline prices. Oil companies are thugs that are ripping us off. Name me an American, a thinking American that doesn't believe those two statements are true. Let's see what else we got here. Shiva Las Vegas, welcome aboard. Hi there, kind sir. Welcome to the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric, they are doing it now. Egberto, you are blind to the freaking truth because you are wanting to blame and be divisive as you fail in November. It's not about blame, it's about facts. If you can tell me any fact that you think I miss, please let me know. But given that I need to answer a call right now, I want you to listen to my 1 minute ask, and then we'll take it on the other side. Politics done right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lied right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Politics Done Right. All right, folks, I just had to run upstairs, run downstairs, run upstairs again to get a picture for the one of our invoices for the tree that fell in the backyard and damaged the neighbor's roof and broke our fence and all that good stuff. It's been crazy. It's been crazy since being back from DC, so forgive that interruption. But anyway, let's continue. Michael Rudden says, in regards to inflation, want to see how the U.S. is doing compared to other nations. We're doing much better, but it's still the system that's giving us inflation unnecessarily. Okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Eric Hay says they are not. I read that one. Bruce Pollard says, hey now, it's hard to pick between you and Dean Becker. I love Dean Becker, especially, he talks a lot about ganja. That's his job. But hey, Bruce, you got to promote politics done right and share politics done right and make sure all of us grow with politics done right. And I love Dean. I love Dean. He's a buddy of mine. So what can I say? Squeedo just gave us a super chat. Thank you so kindly. What can we say when we have great supporters like these on Politics Done Right? Thank you, Squeedo, for the super chat. We simply cannot do it without your support. You guys are ensuring that America remains informed. And Squeedo, you gave us a super chat without even saying, Egberto, I want you to say this. And I like to make sure and say the things that you guys want to get out there as well. Before I continue, I want to tell you guys about something that's happening today. All of our stuff is shown, like even right now, you can watch YouTube at politicsdoneright.com/TV, right? It's the same YouTube channel, but you can watch it at politicsdoneright.com/TV. And if you watch it at politicsdoneright.com/TV, tonight at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, there is going to be a feature film. Well, actually, the film will be shown before that. But after that, there is going to be a stuff on the Unhoused. Kaleda Harris, who you guys seen me apply here before, she will be airing her new documentary in Atlanta. She's premiering it in Atlanta. It's Unhoused Atlanta. It's about the homeless, or I should say about the unhoused. And she is going to have a panel afterwards discussing this, and we will be carrying that panel live directly out of Atlanta. And if you just go to politicsdoneright.com/TV, you will be able to see the discussion about the the crisis that we're having right now in this country, because it's something that's not being discussed at all, needs to be discussed. So we'll be not we. They will be discussing that today, and I hope you guys can check it out, because she did a hell of a documentary. Like I said, it's the one that we spoke about before, that she came and advertised on Politics Done Right. And anyway, Squeedo, you are on the screen now. As I spoke, I got you on the screen. Okay, let's continue. Vamos a comenzar. Yes, it's hard between me and Dean Becker, brother Bruce, but you are my brother, so I want to keep and see you, brother. All right. Eric says 10 in 2022, 10 policies to unleash American energy and fuel recovery. And he gave the link for it. So folks, take a look at what Eric has to say. I haven't looked at it. Michael Redden says the left wants more renewables, the right wants more fossil fuels. And one is forward looking, one is backwards looking. Fossil fuels have already been created and are being created at a much slower manner now than using renewables. It's that simple. Bridge MCP says, took away the tax 2 weeks ago. Gas went up by me 10 cents per gallon. That's what they do. In other words, the states remove the tax, and since the tax is lower now, guess what these guys say? They say, oh, we can actually start charging more, because the people got used to the price. It's a ripoff. They need the windfall profit tax. That is what we need, the windfall profit tax. All right, let's see what else we got here. Hey, Egberto, on another note, do you have orange t-shirts? I can't find any. I went, after you said that, and I thought I left you a message yesterday, Bridge. I went, and it seems like our producer discontinued the orange color, and the closest they have to that is a red one and a mustard one. So consider getting those at our store. And if you guys don't know where our store is, please check out our store at politicsdoneright.com/store. Politicsdoneright.com/store. All right. Tom C says, Fed gas would not likely be passed on to consumer. I mean, Fed gas tax cut would not likely be passed on to consumers anyway. Real price of a gallon of gas should probably be around $10 if you factor in the cost of fossil fuel emissions on global warming. You know, I agree with that. But until we get to the point where America understands what's known as externalities, Brother Tom, that is the issue, right? Until, Europe understands that to some extent. The reason why their gas is so high, they're heavily taxed. And again, given that these guys are good social democracies, they use those taxes to do good things. You know how that goes. Michael Rennes Egberto, as it comes to U.S. position compared to the worldwide inflation, we are in the middle of the road. Thank you for that information. All right, we got Eric that says, let this sink in and see why people are not happy, because fundamentally we all need food, shelter, reliable, abundant energy, and security. We don't have that right now. The extreme market volatility of 2012 has wiped $3.4 trillion from Americans' retirement savings since, according to the Center for Environment. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Eric, you're right. But why did that happen? It happened, and I tell you what, let's talk about the gas tax first, and then I'll go into that. Interesting. So let's talk about the gas tax. And it goes this way. If what we do is to ensure that these oil companies can continue doing what they do, the gas tax means absolutely nothing. So here's the article that I want you guys to see, and then we'll take it on the other side. Here it is. Progressives say windfall profit tax a better solution than Biden's gas tax holiday. And like I said, I have the smartest folks listening to this show. Because here's what Tom C. said. Tom C. said, federal gas tax cut would not likely be passed on to consumers anyway. Real price of a gallon of gas should probably be around $10. She's right. Not going to be passed along. And here's what progressives say. On Wednesday, as Joe Biden prepares on Wednesday to urge Congress to temporarily suspend federal tax and diesel taxes in a bid to ease the pain at the pump, progressives are calling instead for the passage of Democratic lawmakers' overwhelmingly popular bill to impose a windfall profit tax on big oil. Congress should take the president's call and answer it with the windfall profit tax legislation already proposed in the Senate. Jamie Henn, a spokesperson for the Stop Oil Profiteering campaign, wrote on social media a windfall profit tax would get more relief to more people by penalizing the big oil profiteering that is driving up prices. Okay, I want to go to another section where it says, during the Wednesday's afternoon speech, Biden is expected to ask congressional to lift 18.4 cents. What is 18.4 cents on gasoline that's cost $5 a gallon? It makes no sense. It's a cosmetic thing, and here's it. But here's the most silly thing about it. They say they'll do it for 3 months, and then the prices, people are going to see an immediate 18 cents hit right before the election. Who is advising Biden? You put the 18 cents right on just before the election so that the guys are going to say, look at what they're doing. Gas prices are high and they are taxing you on top of that. They're imposing a tax on you. What the hell is wrong with Democrats? It's almost as if they really want to lose in 2022. What we need is to recover that windfall profit tax and then means adjust how we give back that money to families. So a family that is working their butt off to go and do nursing every day and go and do the work they need to do every day, they get a check from the government from the stolen money that the oil company took. They get a check that says, this is a recovery of your gasoline bill that we took away from you, from the middle class. This is a recovery from the money that was stolen from you, that they just took it out of your pocket and tried to put it in the pockets of the rich people who own the stocks, to the executive bonuses. Because I want you guys to see the flow. The flow is simple. The price of oil has not changed substantially, but we have the pricing power to say, hey, if you want to drive, you're going to pay this cost. And since you have to drive, you will have to pay the cost that I am going to take that money and not invest into other resources. I'm going to take that money and put it into the pockets of those executives in the form of bonuses. Hey guys, you did right. You took all that money away from the middle class and the poor, and we're going to stuff it into our pockets. And those shareholders, we're going to make sure they keep us as executives because we made them more money and we didn't pay them in dividends. We bought back their stocks, which means they got their price of that stock appreciated, which means also they had to pay no taxes on it. And by the way, if they need the money or they want to use some of the money, they'll take out a loan on those stock prices. People understand how they steal from us. They just take your money. And then they have sycophants out there that are saying, oh, we need to change policy. The oil companies are suffering. The oil companies are suffering? Really? Come on now. Let's get real. So that is the issue that I have with the windfall profit tax. We need to not have a gas tax holiday. If states want to do that, they can do that, but I think that is a wrong message, because what happens is this. The gas tax is there for infrastructure, for roads, etc. So they're going to give everybody, they're going to reduce the price, the tax that they collect. The oil companies are going to make up that difference by zooming the price back up. They are going to profit from that. And when the roads need to be fixed and built again, we get these tax increases to fix the roads, or they go unkept, or they build toll roads. You see the problem? You see what we're talking about? So folks, let's get real and truly understand what's going on here, because they continually try to go ahead and hurt us all. Anyhow, let's see. Egberto Willis, I went to the site. What it's about. How are you involved? I am actually a supporter of every activist organization that tries to house people. Right now, this particular Khalida Harris is running a program where she's trying to build container homes, buy some land to build container homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Her start is with this documentary expressing what goes on. In her case, she expressed what's going on in Atlanta and what's going on in Columbia, South Carolina. She was going to do another one, but it's a hell of a lot of work to produce these documentaries. And going forward, her expectation is to start providing solutions to the unhoused. And that's what she's working on. She's working with folks who are building homes out of containers, shipping containers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is what we are actually talking about. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric Hayes says, you want to save $450 billion per year? Switch to Medicare for all. Exactly right, Mr. Rudnin. Thank you for that. Medicare RX, it's funny. I want to show you guys something before we go into the capitalism portion of the show. Here's an interesting statement made by Eric. Medical RX ideas now with markets include Medicare could have saved $3.6 billion in a single year if it bought its drugs from Mark Cuban, newly launched pharmacy, which is true. Mark Cuban has a pharmacy to try to reduce the price of drugs. A new study from Harvard Medical School showed the paper published in the Annals of Internal Medicine on Monday said that Medicare's drug program Part D is overpaying for generic drugs by being forced to navigate a complex web of pharmacies. And it's not only pharmacies, there are these middlemen that control everything. The government isn't allowed to do that. So what does Cuban's company do? Name Cost Plus Drug Company. The billionaire's online pharmacy buys generic drugs directly from manufacturers and sell them after adding a 15% markup, $3 fee for labor, and $5 fee for shipping. It has more than 400,000 account holders and offers more than 300 generics, according to the WSJ, Wall Street Journal. That model, when compared to Medicare Amaze, resulted in some stunning price discrepancies. The researcher found while Medicare paid $160 for a 90-day supply of acid reflux esomeprazole, Prazole, it could have gotten it for $17 from Cuban's pharmacy. Bottom line, there are some serious inefficiencies in the pharmaceutical supply chain, said study. I love that Eric wrote that and brought that to our attention, because Eric is so right. The answer to that is Medicare for all. Standard Medicare, because the private sector, because the pharmaceutical companies have paid off politicians like Joe Manchin and others, we are not able to go ahead in certain markets and just say we are the government, we can buy in bulk and just buy it all. What is worse is that we are negotiating to get better prices for products that we, the American people, the taxpayers, designed and paid for, and then have the private sector, the capitalists, as marketeers. So, Eric, while you brought that to show that Medicare has some inefficiencies, I want you to remember what Medicare is government-run insurance. I'm not talking about Medicare Advantage. I'm talking about Medicare. Medicare is government-run insurance, but they have limitations applied to them by government creating false pricing. Government who? Purchased politicians. Okay? And these purchased politicians, like Joe Manchin, who has a daughter who charged $750 or so for an EpiPen, they're the ones that's causing the problem. But if you go into the individual insurance market, it's even worse. Because we are asked to pay for these medicines twice. The solution is simple. We don't even need to have the 15% Cuban markup. That should be gone. If Medicare could go ahead and say, I will buy these drugs, we don't need a middle person to buy the drugs. Mark Cuban goes and buy all these drugs from directly from the manufacturers. And after he buys them, he marks it up 15%. So what he's saying, we are completely transparent. And he's right. But we don't even need that 15%. Buy the drugs from the manufacturers and distribute it to Americans. Sell it for cost. Why do you need the markup? Why do you need the middleman? You don't. We are frozen in that mentality that we need to pass things through the private sector for some rich fat cat to make a profit and then give it to us. It is so silly. Come on, people. All right, let's see. Eric Hayes, policy. Let's see. Alistair Waters going to get a white t-shirt and dye it orange. You go, girl. I love that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric Hayes says spending, debt. I don't know what you're talking about, but let's continue. Michael Rodney, Shiva Levigis says exactly. I think I know what she's talking about. Nina Turner tweeted at POTUS is urging Congress to suspend the gas tax when he should be urging them. I saw the tweet. Very good tweet from Nina. Rodney says Representative Pramila Jayapal tweeted, gas tax holiday won't make it down to the consumer or stop the profiteering of oil companies. That is absolute truth. It also robs the highway trust fund necessary to build infrastructure, and excess profit tax, and oil companies will debate consumers is a better solution. Absolutely so. All right, do it. You might win the election. Right, sure. AC Rodriguez, well, that is a conversation between somebody else, but just take an electric vehicle and make it bigger. All right, let's see. Stop the oil profiteering. Stop big oil. Tweeted gas prices are high because big oil CEOs have begun making billions of dollars in profits. We know that. Thank you so kindly, because that is what we get to arrest. Michael Renner says, Jamie Henn tweeted, big oil strategy is blindly oblivious. Intentionally restrict supply to drive up your profits, then blame Biden and climate policies to help the GOP ahead of the midterms. Who wrote that? That is from somebody. I thought that was you, Michael, because I was going to say that is exactly what's being done. That's why some refineries have been closing. because that's what they want. They want to create a shortage. Unfortunately, they don't yet have a shortage. They do not yet have a shortage. Okay, let's continue here. Nation of Gandhi says privatized. That privatized is the enemy for things that most Americans want. John Tilley says the cost of LIV Saudi Gulf Tour is driving up. Guess that is funny. BGMCP, the above is perfect for now. All right, let's see what we got here. E2247 says plagues criminal. That's another one. Hey, Egberto, we have toll roads in Houston that are still toiling us, and yet they have been complete for years. So isn't that like overtaxing and collecting monies for no purpose? Well, I don't think putting that on a federal level would be a good idea. Toll roads are theft. They get the land for free. Then we have a private Spanish company picking up a lot of our tolls to make a profit. Don't let me start on that. Alistair Water says, love me some George Carlin. Hey, Alistair, in my book, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. The last chapter in the book, before dedications, is called Conclusion. And guess who is the star of Conclusions? George Carlin. Because you're right. I wrote, George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, taped a special called Life is Worth Losing at Beacon Theater at New York City for HBO. A friend sent 3-minute snippet to me that I will cite almost verbatim. Please forgive me for leaving the explicative language at the passage, but it gives necessary context of the American worker in its graphic gravity. And then I put, there is a reason why education sucks. This is from George Carlin. It is the same reason it will never be fixed. It will never get any better. Be happy with what you've got. The owners of this country don't want that. The real owners, the big wealthy businesses that control all things and make all important decisions, not the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own the important land. They own and control the corporations. They got long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, and the city halls. They've got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media companies as they control just about all the news and information you get. They've got you by the pelotas. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying. And that's a George Carlin quote. I love George Carlin because anytime I read or listen to those 3 minutes, I said my brother has listened or read the Powell memo. And it is time. And the difference that I have with George is I wouldn't give up everything to do this if I thought we didn't have a chance. My goal in life is that we have enough people speaking like this to actually inform Americans. And eventually they say, I see the light over time, not immediately. Seeds have been planted so that we will actually take back the country. Because George Carlin was right. You guys take a look at that piece that George Carlin did. It was one of his best pieces, bar none. Okay, Carl Cox says, conservative politicians mega rich mega corporations, right-wing media continue to blame federal government for inflation to cover tracks. Too many gullible fools believe it. I don't want to call our brothers and sisters gullible fools. That's for you to do. But I'm here to try to speak to every single one of the people who are willing to listen. Because you know what? I do believe that we can all make a difference. I do believe it. So, folks, ever lose your drive. Don't ever think we are not going to or cannot make it. Melanie Keelan says, the ads before entering the chat are looming, but it's better to skip, not to skip them, right? Yeah, if you listen to the ads on our YouTube channel, we will make a penny or two. I'll be honest. We need the problem with the ads is they don't make a whole lot. We actually need good contributors to PayPal, good contributors to uh, Patreon, good contributors to join our YouTube channel, etc. And it's really getting tough. But we have our peeps. We have our peeps. We have our peeps. Carl Cox says mega corporations responsible for inflation always have, always will be, and that's where I'm going to go to next, Brother Cox. Melanie Keelan says, good evening, all. She's back. All right, let's see what else we got here. We have to make addressing homelessness an economic issue rather than a moral one. Shipping container houses are significantly cheaper to build than regular homes. They are very resource efficient and can be made to look like regular home houses. You will need a building permit to build and install a container house, and you'll likely need a site place plan in order to obtain building permits. Yeah, that's true. She's working on a lot of that. All right, let's see what else we have here. I'm scrolling down. Let's see. PS Adlock. Okay. I have to wonder, why do most people dislike addressing homelessness with housing? Most people don't like homeless people because of poverty-induced desperation, increased crime rates, being harassed by beggars, and or seeing crazy people on the streets. Not house the homeless only makes all those problems worse. I mean, can we appeal to self-interest? Let's get the homeless people off the streets. Michael, I think that's insightful. I genuinely think that is insightful. We should actually look and see how we can change the narrative. I think you're onto something there. You're onto something there, brother. Well, Egberto, are you in favor of CDC rubber stamping vaccines from Pfizer? They might as well be a subsidiary of them. If scientifically they have the goods, let it be. All right, the problem is not a housing shortage, but rather Wall Street buying up all the available housing and either keeping it all on the market or renting it out, astronomical rates. And that is what the Unhoused discusses as well. We'll have people on the panel tonight, in fact, discussing that. Alistair Waters says, there is also a housing shortage, Maywood. Okay. Listen to the program today at, I think it's 7:30 it starts. We're going to have one of the journalists that we've collaborated with, Robbie Caban. She's going to be on the panel, but she's going to also be bringing it onto all our streams. So check it out. Carl Cox says all companies made billions in 2020, did not lose billions in 2020. All right, let's see. Toll roads are theft. Agree. Egberto, we agree on something. I'm celebrating today. We've agreed on much more than that today. We also agreed that Medicare for all is the only answer because you gave me the long narrative you gave about Medicare is a reason for Medicare for all. You saw that in my book. I'm glad that you saw that in the book, Alistair Waters. Very important narrative from Brother Carlin. I love the man. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was on point constantly. All right, let's see. Shiva says, me too, George Carlin. Melanie Keelan says, but does Egberto get any monetization? I get monetization on if you watch ads on my YouTube channel, if you let them play through and not cut it off after 5 seconds, I get a few pennies off of each of those ads. Yes, I do. Now, like I said, most of my, I think I told you all the story, but I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I used to make, why I could immediately come here and do this stuff is that initially I reduced all my costs and was able to do all of this because my website with ads and so forth were coming in. The change in algorithm with Google, Facebook, and all of that, and YouTube lost 90% of my income. Henceforth, PayPal, henceforth, YouTube, joining YouTube, etc. So that's why I ask people to please, the best way to support Politics Done Right is via PayPal by clicking on that politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. YouTube by going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube because that's a subscription, as well as what is it called? Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Those are the ways that if you really want to say we're going to keep this stuff online, that's how you can help me keep it online. Okay, I want to get to this here because I'm going to take this one real short first. Warren warns Powell of Fed rates hike could drive U.S. economy off a cliff. And I want to discuss this for one reason. Remember this. When we get inflation, I really want you to understand this concept. Please, 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 I beg of thee. because I want you to promote this to other people as well. Yvette Avery Herod says, evening all, I will be attending the No Address documentary tonight in Atlanta. Thanks for having her on your show. Thank you for going to that documentary. That is going to be great in Atlanta, Yvette. See if you can take our other Atlanta folks like Fleming with you. Anyway, here's the deal. They raise they create inflation, right? No real shortages, and those shortages that we have are created by a supply chain problem created by corporations trying to make more money by stiffing the American people of jobs, putting the jobs overseas, and creating something called just-in-time inventory. So these corporations did everything to create a supply chain problem when there is a supply chain problem. They're the ones responsible for it. So they create this big inflation. But because we had a smart government during the pandemic, we gave people a lot of money. That's a fact. We gave a stimulus. A lot of people's stimulus was worth more than their waitressing or other things. And that was good because we have not had true wage growth in decades. So that was great. So people had a little bit more money in their pocket. What did these thugs in ties and suits do, the corporations? They said, we gave them some wage increases to get them to come back to work. We also know that they kept some of that stimulus money and saved it. We will just take it back. So we take it back. Taking it back means creating inflation, zooming up the price of oil, zooming up the price of gas, zooming up the price of all these things because they can. All right? And to fix the problem now, instead of putting the boot on the neck of these corporations and say, okay, oil companies, you keep hurting the American people. In defense of the American people, we are nationalizing you because you have stolen from the American people, so you will be nationalized if you don't get your act together in 30 days. We could do that. You will be nationalized if you don't get your act together in 30 days. Same with the companies selling eggs, the egg companies selling all these things that are profiteering off of the American people, taking the wealth from the American people away. We could do that right away. You'll see prices fall if they know that we're really going to take them over. Bridge MCP, thank you for the 101, my dear beautiful lady again. So let's remember that, folks. Remember that. So let's get a little bit more in detail. But that's not the solution Biden or any other government is going to use. They are going to use monetary policy. What I just said would have been fiscal policy. In other words, we are forcing ourselves, we are forcing these guys to adjust pricing, etc. We are creating government policy, fiscal policy to prevent the profiteering on the backs of humanity. But instead, here's what the Fed's going to do. We will zoom up interest rates. Now, when you zoom interest rates, who gets hurt? The middle class and the poor. How did that happen again? Well, suddenly we're saying we must throw the economy into a recession so that a lot of people start buying less. And who are the people that are going to buy less? Those without means, those poor, the middle class. They will drop their spending. The top 20%, inflation doesn't mean much to them, so they can continue to spend. And if the economy goes into recession and prices drop, great for the rich. Again, they can spend more. Every solution we ask in this country right now, we ask to put on the backs of the poor. We ask to put on the backs of the middle class. So increasing interest rates throws us into throws us into recession. People lose jobs. People lose their 401ks because if you have higher inflation, higher payouts on money, the stock prices fall because that's a safer investment. But the problem is, my brothers and sisters, most Americans don't know this. And that's why we're here. Why I ask for your support, why I ask you to share what we do, why I ask you to put this all out there is because we don't know these things, they can tell us anything. Let me read, Bridge wants me to read her comment on January 6th delaying regarding new material. Let me find it, Bridge. Or if you could repost it again, Bridge, so I don't have to really do a lot of scrolling and search. That would be great, but I'm searching for it. Let's see if you would repost it for me, Bridge, please, please. Oh, I found it. January 6th committee delays hearing schedule until July. The shift will leave Thursday's hearing as the final event for the month of June. That session will focus on Trump's pressure campaign at the Department of Justice. We've taken in some additional information that's going to require additional work. So rather than present hearings that have not been the quality of the hearings in the past, we made a decision to just move into something in July. I love that. I love that. That means they came across some good new information, Breach. Thank you for letting me be aware of that. Anyhow, folks, I'm going to go over by about 2 minutes, okay? About 2 minutes, because I need to bring you, I brought you the reason why we should not increase these rates. We should use other measures to control inflation, like nationalize corporations who continues to want to overcharge people. You nationalize them and people say, oh, well, that will remove efficiency and that will start causing us not. That's bull. Most of our efficiencies come from universities who created the techniques for these things. It's a ruse when they try to tell you that somehow the private sector is better than the government. Check out the private sector on healthcare. Check out the government on the government portion of healthcare, Medicare for Medicare. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. All right. What I really wanted to show you guys today is who is to blame for inflation, the power brokers of capitalism. I'm just going to read the first few paragraphs. The blame game over surging prices is on. Was it too much central bank money being pumped out too long that caused inflation to take off? Was it China, where most physical production had moved before the pandemic locked down the country and disrupted global supply chains? Was it Russia, whose invasion of Ukraine took a large chunk out of global supply of gas, oil, grains, and fertilizers? Was it some surreptitious shift from pre-pandemic austerity to unrestricted largesse? No. 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 The answer is one that test takers never encounter. All of the above and none of the above. Pivotal economic crises frequently evoke multiple explanations that are all correct while missing the point. When Wall Street collapsed in 2008, triggering the global Great Recession, various explanations were offered. Regulatory capture by financiers who had replaced industrialists in the capitalist pecking order, a cultural proclivity towards risky finance, failure by politicians, etc., etc. The same is true today. But the monetary story cannot explain why the major central banks failed in 2029. So, of importance though, it was nothing short of lavish socialism and harsh austerity for labor? Nah. To save not just the bankers, but also the labyrinth itself, central bankers stepped in to replace the financiers. But the idea behind the entire article, saludos, Roberto Luis, welcome, is what we have to see as the real problem. And I think I alluded to it before. All the interruption in the supply chain. What caused it? Capitalism, the way it's run. What created the shortages in America? Capitalism, the private sector. What created the high prices? Gouging. So folks, please, as you listen to what's going on throughout the day, throughout the weeks, please remember, none of this has to be. We don't have to have inflation today. We don't have to have the interest rates going up ridiculously high. By the way, I think 2-3% may be just okay, but stay there. We don't have to have any of this. Our private sector and profiteers created these problems. And if you need to ask why, we say follow the money. Who have been profiteering, who have been making all the monies? The billionaires and the upper echelon of the high millionaires. That tells you all you need to know. And if we don't start effecting policies, to take back what was stolen from us all, and I mean that, I don't just mean changing tax rates. I mean taking back what was stolen. That mother who's sitting back there, who had to use all her money to pay for gas, not paying her electricity, having the electricity cut off, having to get it cut back on with a fee, or lost her, that had to pay an extra fee for her rent because she had to buy the gas, and that extra fee then came on to her because she didn't pay her rent on time. All of that because of the theft from the corporate structure. It is not only about a windfall tax. It's about recovering what was stolen. My name is Egberto Willies. I ask you so kindly to please, please, please support our show. We cannot do this at all without you. And we are at an immense, and when I say this, I mean it, we're at an immense shortfall, given that we weren't able to do much over the last 9 months. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/support and support this show in however form, whether going to our store, going to our buying our books at Amazon, providing support at PayPal or Patreon or whatever. There in that part, there are many different options. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.